As an extension from our discussions on the components of the heavy structure lab, so far we have discussed about strong floor system, strong wall system, halter frame system, actuator or hydraulic jack system, data acquisition system. Now we would like to discuss a bit on the lifting system, which is known as the overhead crane system or the forklift. This is basically meant to lift and mobilize large-scale specimens in the lab. You know that the heavy structure lab normally dealing with heavy structural element, which is beyond the lifting weight of a normal person. You will need these machines to help you with the lifting and mobilizing, as well as for the safety purpose. A typical heavy structure lab will have the lifting and mobilization system in place. One of the most common is the overhead crane system. This is a typical overhead crane that is built in within the building of the heavy structure lab. There will be runways for the crane, bridge girdle, and then overhead crane system that is designed to access most of the places in the heavy structure lab. When you want to use this overhead crane system, due to the limitations of the design, you have to be careful with certain places beyond the access of the overhead crane. For example, at the edge of the building or the corner of the building. These are normally the place hard to be accessed by the overhead crane. You need to know the lifting capacity of the overhead crane. Always check with the lab for the lifting capacity, as this will govern the weight of your specimen. You can do some simple calculations converting the weight of the specimen from kilogram or kilonewton to the tons, as defined by the lifting capacity of the crane. You need to operate this overhead crane system carefully. Know how to operate it. There is a control panel, and try to operate it slowly. There will be maximum speed for the bridge, trolley and hoist. Even though those speeds may seem slow, but if you operate the overhead crane, lifting your specimen at the top speed of any of those, it can be quite dangerous. It is especially when it comes to swing. Due to the principles of inertia, swinging of your specimens, it will be like a pendulum, and it can cause accidents and disasters. This is no place for joking. You will have to do everything seriously. You need to also consider the headroom, spacing, as well as the access limit, as this is going to govern the size of the specimen as well as the reach of the specimens. You know that there are quite a lot of things in the heavy structure lab. There will be portal frame, and there will be a lot of things that may block the path of your lifting. And when you want to install your specimens, sometimes you have to put it in the exact locations. You have to consider there is no disturbance while you do all this work. The overhead crane also requires service and maintenance, and normally you need to use the lifting accessories such as the slings, shackles and etc. properly. Follow the standard operating procedures for your own safety, for the safety of your specimens, as well as for the safety of your colleagues. These are some accessories that you can use together with the overhead crane system. These are the slings, and this is shackles. Every time when you want to use it, you need to do some visual inspection. Make sure the things that you use are okay, without any visible defects. Something like this can be quite dangerous. In case of any damage here, while lifting heavyweight item, suddenly the sling fractured, This can cause injuries and death. Also, you will need to check the rating in terms of the capacity. Normally, there is specifications on the sling indicating the maximum lifting weight, and also you need to check the age of the sling. There will be the dates given. Check for any visible defects, and you will need to use it properly, store it properly. As for the shackles, you need to check the size and the capacity. Always choose a bigger capacity than the weight you need to lift. Check if there is any visible damage on the shackles, and make sure proper installations of the shackles. Make sure it is properly locked so that it will not loose while lifting any heavy items. Some leg may have the forklift. It is meant to lift the heavy items and to reach the items at height. It is good of you to know that what kind of model it is for the relevant specifications. Its size and dimensions is meant to know the workspace available. You need to know the load capacity for you to determine the specimen size. There are two types of forklift here. One is electric, another one is diesel. Normally for the indoors, electric forklift will be preferred. Diesel will be more noisy and there will be air pollutions. You might also need to know the height of the selectors. This is the selector. To know the accessible height when you design for the porter frame. Some may have the personal portable lift. This is especially meant for the researchers to work at height. For the safety, it is basically a mechanical platform for working at height. You need to know the dimensions, the access limit, platform capacity, as well as the SOP. Sometimes you may involve some heavy stuff which needs to be lifted beyond the lifting weight of a normal person. You may need this to help you. It is basically meant to mobilize heavy items and use this scissor lift table to lift it to the respective height. This one you need to consider the dimensions, the access limit, as well as the maximum allowable weight.